Hello everyone, welcome to Gelvin Valley. Wonderful map created for Farming Simulator 15 by Wild Wes. And I am still loving it, though my farm is mortgaged to the hilt and I'm having a hard time still making money. And the more that this harvest goes, the more that I run this nice big combine, and the more I see my cash disappear. Yeah, the more I'm thinking this may very well be the last season that I get a nice big combine. Until I can afford it. So, we'll see. I'm not complaining, because I'm still enjoying it. Hope everybody is doing well tonight. It's evening as I do this, right around 9 o'clock. And just getting ready to close a day off that I'd record an episode. Maybe you can hear the dog barking in the background, one of them. Probably sees a flea that has dared to cross into the property. It is warning it away. But what I really hope you can hear, because I've been enjoying it this evening with the open window here, is birds. There's some briar patches near our home, maybe, I don't know, 100 yards away, give or take. And there's like a whole flock of birds in there or something. And just night after night, they're in there and they're having a meeting or something. They're just cheeping away and just, who knows what they're talking about. I just think it sounds pretty cool. And even as I say that, I'm hearing, the birds chirp in game here too. Doesn't quite have the same effect as real life. So I don't know if that's their home down in there, but it is kind of fun to see them. And past couple nights, or as I have time, there are, as I think of this here now, I have a tendency, as everybody knows, to see these videos of staying on a farm for the long haul. I listen to a lot of Fury Machine Gaming's videos, and he always seems to have a goal in mind as he starts out on a map, and he knows what he wants to accomplish, sets a goal, and then accomplishes it. And I don't have a goal for this map, other than just shoot the breeze and enjoy Wes's creation. So that's, I guess, the goal. So I'm working on it and have no idea when it will be complete. But I have several, I know we've talked about this concept before. Some of us will have save games for every save game we've ever started on Farming Sim. And there's always this thought that maybe someday I'll want to go back and play on it again and pick up where I left off, and I gotta say, I haven't really done that, but for whatever reason, maybe because I'm a pack rat, I've stubbornly kept a number of those save games. But I do have, on my humble little channel here, several series and spanning the various games. I don't have any in FS09. I have a series in Farm Sim 11, which was near the first version that I tried in the Farming Sim franchise, is on the Feldy map. And recently I finished it, so I'm starting up another one in Farm Sim 11. Oh, what's the map called? Is it Hurleman? Oh, I can't remember the name of it. It was one recommended to me. The app looks pretty neat, so I'm giving it a try. So I kind of continuing that. But before I get to that, there was a little mini-series, if you will, in Farm Sim 11 that I did of a map that I tried way back in the day called Salem, South Dakota. and the map had a few problems. And back in the day, when I say problems, it's those game-breaking type problems where you can run the game for a little while, but it has, a few of those nasty recurring errors that fill up the log, one of those. And I was so ignorant back in the day, it took me a while to figure out that the map had errors, and so it was filling the log, and eventually, the game would just crash, and I wouldn't know why. But eventually I figured out, it was because of the errors, and so for a while I didn't know how to fix them. So I just turned off the log and said, okay, we won't print anything to the log. And you know what? That helped for a little while. But I think if you played it for several hours, it still ultimately would eventually crash. Well, something brought the map to mind, and as I was looking for another one to turn to after my little Feldy series, I thought, well, maybe I'll give it a look. Actually, what state is it in? I can't even remember. Oh, South Dakota, duh. It's flatland farming for the most part, square corners, and it's a huge map, 4x map. I tend to like the larger maps. So I thought, well, maybe I can make a series out of this, and maybe, just maybe, this time I can figure out how to solve the errors, that plagued, back in the day when I didn't know how to fix them. And so I started a little series on the Salem, South Dakota map, and I think I have just 5 episodes. Ultimately, I determined, I wasn't going to play it. I have before. I spent many hours on it, and one of the things I was pleased with, though, is I did figure out how to fix all those pesky errors. So I figured I'd at least, try to put that out there. So actually, that particular series hasn't even dropped yet, so it'll be coming. So that'll be, and I'll probably do it before I continue that other map that I was recommended for Farm Sim 11. So, oh, look at this. We got our field finished. And I am kind of running short of fuel, so I think if I do the field on the other side of the road here, I'll get down where there's a fuel tank, or close. Let's see if I can get through here. There's nice wide gates, don't have to fuss with the header trailer. So get in here, won't trample any crop. Easy peasy, nice and neat. Alright, well, so this is the outer round, so it's probably gonna, giving me some challenges here. Alright, let me lift my header. And, okay, so those are my series on Farm Sim 11. For Farm Sim 13, I also have a series. It's been a little while since I made a video on it. It's a Polish map called Beskidy. I still don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Lovely map. Someone obviously knew what they were doing and spent a lot of time on it. And I don't know how many episodes I have. It's over 20, but I don't recall offhand just how many it was. Oh, goodness. There we go. Kind of hard to hug the edge of the field without any overlap. That's the only one I have on Farm Sim 13. And like I say, it's been a little while since I've been over to it. Probably need to go put an episode on there. Come on, quit spinning. You can do it. Oh, goodness. This ground, it must just be... Yeah, it kind of curves up. It's made for the smaller header. I'm telling you. It's almost like I need to open this field with the little combine and then come in and take the big boy combine and finish the job. Oh, I'm just smashing this. Down it goes. Come on. Oh, good gracious. It used to be, too, on the older versions of the game, you could harvest the crop with your header up, and maybe the game was that way just for situations like this, so the player wouldn't get frustrated and could still harvest even if the ground was uneven. Alright, I think it'll be a little better here, not by those piles over there. And it's probably a reminder I need to clean all of this up, after this harvest season, take it in the editor, maybe fix kind of along the edges all along each field. So anyway, that's Farm Sim 13, and then of course in Farm Sim 15 I have Gelvin Valley, which is the longest series I've done, probably ever will do, I don't know. I have over 200 episodes on it. Mainly the purpose here just being a place I can chew the fat, as my good friend Atomic 67 would call it, just talking about whatever's on my mind at the particular time that I record. So we have this one, but I also, I wasn't paying attention, and down the hill I go, smashing crop. Good grief. That is unconscionable. Alright, that hopefully is enough to get the trailer in. Let me set the brake. There we go. I'll take this down to fill her up. But I do have another series on Farm Sim 15, and I think it's been over a year since I've made an episode. It's very short, and it's if anybody has followed the Feldy series, it's a map that was created by the same map author, Farmer Yip, and it's called Glen Ellie. It wasn't a widely published map. It just never took off that way. It may have been published on FSU UK, but I almost think Farmer Yip opted to publish it on his own site for a little while, and unfortunately, as time would go by, it just kind of the site was eventually closed, and it just never received the publicity that I thought it deserved. So I managed to get a hold of Farmer Yip. I asked for permission to put it on Mod Hoster or to put it out there in the public, and he was gracious to give permission. So that's what I did. I put it out there, and then I started a little series. The first couple episodes, well, see, this particular map, we all start somewhere when we engage in the activity of modding, or whatever you want to call it. And so this was the map that I chose to practice on. And so anytime I wanted to learn how to do something, I would try to do it to the Glen Ellie map. So, for example, how do you change the area where the cattle, would roam? Well, I looked up videos on how to do it, and then with a video on one screen and the map on the other, I would try to do it on Glen Ellie. And so there were tons and tons of things that I did, and I don't know, there's something about the map that I just like. It's probably because it was one of the first, where I tried all that stuff. Boy, this is going to be a long day combining this field around the edge. Come on. It's just, yeah. It's spinning out trying to go around. So I do have a little Glen Ellie series, and like I say, the first couple episodes I did a ton of changes to the map, and put all those in there. And so I had a couple episodes showing Farmer Yip's map, showing what I had done to it. And then I got the whimsical notion that I wanted to try something my good friend Atomic 67, or as we also knew him, Eustace Farmer, that he was famous for, which was telling stories. And there's not that many out there that, can tell a proper story. That there's, or maybe you call it role play. I'm not even sure what the term is for it. You have Scroff's channel, which is just excellent. His Farmhand series, and he obviously has a real knack for telling stories. But anyway, in short, I wanted to try my hand at telling a story. And you know what? You know how they say kids don't try this at home? Well, that's probably what Scroft should put on his videos, or what my friend Atomic 67 should have put on his. It's harder than it looks. And I don't know what it is, but I gave a whack at it. And so I have a couple episodes going in there. Basically, and there's so many similar themes. There's another channel out there that I think is more designed for younger kids. What was it called? The Squad, where they have just tons of all these different role plays. And I can't say that style's particularly appealed to me. Scroff's does, because it's based on the farm, but primarily. But I think this other one, you could go camping, they went fishing, you went four-wheel driving, mudding, just all these different things, that they would build into a role play, which in and of itself is pretty creative and cool. I hand it to him for that. But I wanted to do something on the farm, and so what kind of a theme can you come up with that nobody's ever had before? We all know about the concept of starting from nothing, and oh man, this hill, come on. Starting from nothing, taking on a loan, wanting to build something up, or, oh, why did it go down? I can't talk and drive at the same time. There we go. Get out of the edge over here. I really need to get it flattened. That's what I need to do. So that's kind of a general theme, and it's pretty hard to come by another one, unless, you're inheriting the farm, or, maybe your grandpappy died, and so you come out to the country from the city. And maybe part of it is I'm just probably not that creative of a person. And so it's hard to just dream up something new that somebody hasn't already done. Look how steep that is, my word. And so kind of where I landed is, I don't know that I've heard this one before, but there was a family member who went to jail for some such, who knows what it was. I don't think we indicate what the crime was. He gets out of jail. He has just enough money to get a bus ticket to come into Glen Ellie, and he goes to his grandma's house. He knew his grandpa passed away, and he was basically trying to come home. And she chews him up and spits him out and kicks him out of the house, won't let him stay there. And so that's kind of how I started the series. And it's, I think I have just 2 measly episodes. I quickly found doing those are a lot more work than just sitting down at the computer, turning it on, and starting to record, doing a little editing and kicking it out there. Doing a story takes a whole lot more effort, at least the way I'm trying to do it. And I don't know, It's really kind of a caricature, I guess you could say. I'm just goofing off, having a good time. I told my kids stories when they were little. I grew up in a home with a father that told lots of stories, bedtime stories, that kind of thing. And so I'm just making it up, in there. Although I am trying to write it down. If you want it to go half an hour, you pretty well have to write a script. Or, I'm not good enough, just to come up with it. It'd be interesting to know, Scroft does a masterful job at it, and he probably writes things up, I'd have to guess. But I don't know. Some people out there are just gifted at, doing those kinds of things, and I'm not. So anyway, I think I've mustered up 2 episodes of this poppycock, where there's just a bumbling idiot in there trying to make a little money, to get back on his feet, take over the family farm, and those kinds of things. And in the meantime, I'm going to try to enjoy. I poured hours into this map, adding different mods to it as I went. Lots of scripts, lots of factories in there. So I'd like to now go play it and enjoy it. Although the thing of it is, I probably should be doing with it kind of like what I'm doing here with Gelvin Valley, just playing it and talking. Because one of the things I've learned is when you try to tell a story and put a video together, you're no longer really playing Farming Simulator. What you're doing instead is kind of set up and take down, if you will. You set a scene and you record the scene, and then you move on to something else because you're trying to tell a story. So I don't know. We'll see where it goes. And I've had some counsel given to me basically not to try it, and I think the person's right, that encouraged me. They said, you're already, if that obviously really isn't your forte, maybe you'd be better off focusing on something that is more your speed, like, like these kinds of videos. And, truth be told, when it comes down to what appeals to people, I'm not sure that these shooting the breeze videos are any more appealing to anybody than a stupid story video would be. So I don't know. I haven't given up on the idea yet. If I thought I was making a fool of myself with these videos, let me tell you, these story videos will certainly remove any doubt of, just what kind of a nut is behind the wheel. So anyway, I've been, I guess all that to say, past couple days, I've been trying to write a script for the next one, with different characters in it and that kind of thing. So we'll see where it goes. I'm almost full. I don't want to drive over the crop again. There, I think I didn't. Alright, there, we'll pause there. Go to my truck. We'll have to try to get a run at the following hill. This is one whale of a hill we're harvesting here. But those are the series that I have, if you will. Oh boy, you know what? I'm not even sure this guy can pull the hill. I might have to jump cut this later. Or not. He's pulling, but it is treacherous in here. Probably would never do this in real life. And then, let's see, Farm Sim 17, I still have a series on Lone Oak Farms. I got started on it early on and did a bunch of episodes on the Lone Oak Farms because, I worked there, kind of grew up there as a kid, where I learned how to work and earn some money for college. It's where my father grew up as a child, and it's a place I just love. And so Bullet Bill was kind enough to make a map of the area, and then I think Oxygen David carried it over to Farm Sim 19. I've always, for some reason, enjoyed the 17 version more. I think it's the colors, and I don't know. I've always enjoyed Farm Sim 17 more than 19 anyways. So I have that series. Here we go again. Careful, get out of the truck. And I also started kind of a short one related to the largest map I've ever played, which is Corn Belt. And those huge maps are, I think I've kind of concluded they're virtually impossible to have a series on, unless it would be something like this. And because the thing of it is, even here, the whole video I've harvested for several videos straight. I've done nothing but harvest. And so really, anybody looking at these and wanting to see something different, would be sorely disappointed. So I guess someone listening would have to listen because they want to hear whatever I'm saying. Poor souls. But you see what I mean? I mean, it's on a massive map. It is hard to be doing something new. You can blow the whole video, the whole time span, just in driving from your farm to the field or whatever. And I found that out, as I tried to record a little bit, and I don't know that I'm going to do any more on there, because it's just too hard, and it takes too long. And on that, by the way, that particular map, there was one harvest that I did, and in there, I think of my save game, I own, I don't think I own half of the map, but I'm pretty minimalist when it comes to equipment. That's kind of my style, so I did the whole farm. I had crops, and I used a single combine to harvest. And by time harvest was over with, there was over 220 real-time hours put on the combine. So it gives you kind of an idea of the scale and scope of trying to work a map, kind of like that. So that series is probably going to just die out. And in Farm Sim 19, again, because I enjoy the largest maps, this one here was even larger still. It's called the Peace River. That's a river up in Canada, and I think they're putting a dam on the river now, but maybe this was in an area where there wasn't a dam, and it probably isn't even based on a real life area anyhow. But it was made, who was it made by? I don't know if anybody could hear that. There's a helicopter passing overhead. Thank you very much, guys. Whoop. Better go down. Who was that? Was it Canuck mapping? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm probably butchering it. I just don't remember the name. But I spent a fair amount of time on there, and it's, like I say, it's a 25x map. And you may say, well, how in the world can someone do that? Generally, the normal standard map sizes are 1x, like we're playing on now. 1x meaning 1 times. It's basically 2,048 meters by 2,048 meters. Perfect square. And a 4x map is 4 times the size of the regular. And then there's a 16x map, which is 16 times the normal size. All of these square shaped. So how would you get a 25x? Well, the way he did it is he built a 16x map, and then he changed this little tiny variable inside his map file. And I think it's called units per pixel. And most maps, it's very rare that a person tinkers with that value. But what it means is each pixel in your dem file represents, 2.5 meters, or maybe it's 2. So most dem apps for a single size map, like the one we're on, would have 1,024 would kind of be a square. Actually, 1,025. They always have one extra pixel to form the edge. Okay, so 1,024 times 2 meters per pixel is 2,048 meters on a side. Well, the mapper can choose to expand the scale, and you could really make that anything you wanted. And what would happen is your map becomes gargantuan. So, for example, if you took this map, which has units per pixel of 2, I believe, and you turned it into 4, well, now you would have a map, I think, would that make it 4 times? I think it would make it 4 times the size, because you expand in all directions. The problem with that approach is you start noticing problems with your pixels. You know, you may harvest what looks like a full swath, and it won't quite line up on the screen, you know, the way your eyes are telling you that it should. So there are risks kind of with that approach, but that's how this guy did it for the Peace River, and I think he just bumped it up a half pixel, or half of a meter, excuse me. So it went from 2 meters to 2.5 per units per pixel. So that, if you run the maths, you get 25x. So I got a little series on that. That's the only one I have for Farm Sim 19. And then for Farm Sim 22, I have a small series that I've been doing over time. It's this one I'm the most disappointed on, because I was hoping to run a series on there with Atomic 67. Just before he passed, we were starting up a series we were intending to run together, and we were going to pass the save game kind of back and forth between us. And he only ever did a single episode, and that's all we were able to do. And I haven't had the heart to go in there and continue playing on it. What I've tended to do with it is each year, around the date of his passing, I'll go in and make an episode and talk about my friend. So, anyway, those are the series that I have. I don't know what possessed me to talk about this tonight. I'm just harvesting canola away, and if I don't watch out, I'm gonna end up running over the crop again. We're almost full here. The bell has chimed, so I think I need to tell everyone goodbye. Thank you so much for listening to a bunch of boring talk here by someone still enjoying life on Gelvin Valley. Hope all are well. Y'all have a great day. I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.